Now let's take a look at this information at the top to review a little bit of what we know and learn a little bit more. It says that positive numbers such as 2 are graphed to the right or above 0 on a number line. We know this from what we learned yesterday in lesson 1. Negative numbers such as -2 are graphed to the left or below 0 on a number line. Now here's another important term. Opposites. Opposites are numbers that are the same distance from 0 in opposite directions. And I talked about this briefly in the opening of yesterday's lesson. So for example, if I have 5, the opposite of that would be -5 because it's the same distance from 0. It's 5 spaces away from 0, just in the opposite direction. Since 0 is not negative nor positive, 0 is its own opposite. So if I asked what's the opposite of 0? 0. It's its own opposite because it can't have anything else. Then you've got the opposite of a number, which is kind of just a tricky way, and we'll be looking at that in one of these examples, but it leads you right back to the number you started with. So if I have 3 and I want to know what's the opposite of 3, well, the opposite of 3 is -3, and then the opposite of that opposite is +3. Let's look at example 1. It asks us to find the opposite of -5. So you can do this in two ways. If visually it helps you, you can use method 1 here, which is to use a number line. So you can graph 5 on, or -5 on a number line and see what's the same distance from 0 in the opposite direction, and that would be 5. Or you could just use symbols, right? The integer -5 uses the negative symbol. The opposite of a negative symbol is a positive symbol. So the opposite of -5 is +5.